We're back with a special video for all of you out there to show how corrupt politics really is. And it doesn't matter which side you're on. If you don't have the money, you're not getting invited to the party. First things first, I don't know how much trouble I'm going to get in for this video from the party. They might kick me out. Who could say? Probably not at the beginning, probably later. And for those of you, by the time you get done with this video, a lot of you will say, oh, the Republicans are bad. I've told you, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? The Democrats do it too, and I have proof of it. Not only of the how they did it, but also why they're doing it. And if you don't have enough money, you're never going to get very far in politics unless you're like in a small town or it's for a really low level election. Even school board is really corrupt. Basically, you have to give the money, a bunch of money to the party, and then they'll help you. There is an entry fee. But let's get into it. Enough of me yapping around. So back in May, I got this picture from somebody on Twitter. Shout out Jeff. And he was like, "Do you know who that is?" And I go, "No." But it's like, I do know who a few people are. Justin Moed, Kerry Hamilton, and Victoria Wilburn. All three of these are Indiana state reps. Fun fact, Victoria Wilburn had made false accusations about me to the Capitol Police, and they had to give me a call. This was last year. And they were telling me that Victoria Wilburn told them that I was posting pictures of her kids and their medical data and where they go to school and all this stuff. And they were like, but we can't find any proof of it. And I said, yeah, because there is no proof of it because I never did it. And there's this stupid rumor going around that I did all this stuff. And guess what? It never happened. And I would never do that because I'm not a psychopath. So, for I know Democrats are going to be trying to smear my name through the mud with that kind of bullshit, but guess what? It never happened. Going forward, though, he goes, well, that I originally thought, me personally, I thought this was Hannah Smith. Now, Hannah Smith is a vice president for Catalyst Public Affairs Group. She was also the longtime communications director for the Indiana House Democratic Caucus. Very funny, this was the day of the primary, and this was at I can tell where this was at because of these garbage cans because I had put a sign over there because it's in my district. Obviously, because she's out there campaigning for Moed, and one of my signs got thrown away. Gee, I wonder who it did, allegedly. But going back, Catalyst Public Affairs Group had given Justin Moed $1,000. So if you got $1,000, you yourself can buy yourselves a politician because they have a very low rate of buy-in for their morality. But ended up, he was like, the person who sent me the picture said, no, that's Allie Bartlett. And I go, that can't be Allie Bartlett because Allie Bartlett is a Republican. Why would a Republican be helping out a Democrat? So this is Allie Bartlett, 100% confirmed. And I'll tell you how I got that confirmed in a second. She is a partner, I think, or a principal at Bose McKinney Evans, and she ran as a Republican for delegate in this May. She also won her election for PC committeeman. And being a PC is very important because you get to vote for people in a caucus, whether it's the county chair or, as we saw earlier this year, John Schmitz, who is running for U.S. House Rep District 7. So I'm sure some of you out there are probably thinking, it's like, okay, well, she ran as a Republican. Is she really Republican? Well, that's a good question, too. But you tell me.
And welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome in two members of Indiana's best political team, Republican Allie Bartlett and Democrat Destiny Wells.
There we go again. Still claiming to be a Republican, obviously Destiny Wells. And if you are helping out a Democrat, you are automatically not of good standing. If you remember that the Republican Party, changed the rules to be an election for the two primary rule. And if you are not a good Republican or good Democrat in standing, you can't be part of the party. This is why one of the reasons why I think I'm going to get kicked out is because I'm Not, I'm sort of talking crap about the Republican Party, but I'm not. I'm just talking about the bigger issue because the question is right now, is the party trying to sabotage my campaign? And you guys can decide that for yourselves by the time that the video is over. Now, fun fact, Bose McKinney Evans is also the same place that Thomas Cook worked for. Got a bunch of contracts while he was there, hundreds of thousands of dollars of contracts while he was there after he left the Hogsett administration because he was the number 2 guy for Joe Hogsett. And also, fun fact, the investigative committee that the Indy City Council going on, 4 out of the 5 Democrats of that committee got money from Thomas Cook. But nobody wanted to talk about it except for Indy Spanglish, aka Jerry Lopez. And now it's getting brought up because Brian Mowry on the committee brought it up, asking if this is a conflict of interest, which is going to be so much fun because once the law firm starts doing their probie work, we're going to find out if any of those counselors that are on the committee get kicked off because of being a conflict of interest. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But you're probably asking why. Why would a Republican be helping out a Democrat? Well, that's because of Bose McKinney Evans. Now, Bose McKinney Evans is a huge lobbyist firm. Uh, Bose Public Affairs is the lobbyist firm, and then Bose McKinney Evans is obviously a law firm. And this earlier this year, Justin Moed had put out a bill on authorizes wagering on video gaming terminals in certain establishments, establishes a licensing structure for participants in video gaming, imposes a wide video game wagering of 30% of adjusted receipts. And if you go on Ali Bartlett's Twitter, you will see a whole lot about gaming. Even back in 2020, when our governor decided to shut down Indiana, Allie Page Bartlett, she put out a tweet saying, "It's like the article does a good job illustrating the effects of that will be felt in Indiana by the loss of gaming revenues due to COVID-19." So there you go. That is the example of lobbyists buying politicians just because of that. So there is another question though: is why? Why would Justin set that up? And their bigger question is, why has nobody ran against Justin Moed? Well, that's easy because if you look into Justin Moed's history, he is compromised. Back in 2015, Justin Moed got caught listening to the voices in the basement. That's right, he was using the wrong head because he was out sexting Sydney Leathers. And for everybody that forgot because it was kind of a long time ago, this is the same porn actress that got Anthony Weiner in trouble. Very fitting, right? Well, she called him bitch boy. He was out spending a bunch of money sending her packages of whatever from Amazon and I think flowers or whatever. And what was she getting? She was getting unsolicited naked pictures from him. And this was all at the same time where he was engaged to be married. Obviously, that did not turn out. So he ended up just apologizing and saying, "Yeah, my bad. I'm truly sorry. I've hurt the ones I love the most with my poor judgment. And I am committed to rebuilding the trust with my family and community." And nothing really happened to him, which was very wild. Because, especially in like this time of age, you would be thinking, like, that's it. Nothing happening ever again with this guy. He's done. Go back to doing whatever you're doing. But my theory is that the Republican Party had him by the balls because he has been in there since 2012. So you think of 12 years that he's basically the Republicans' bitch boy. And since Bose McKinney Evans does give a lot of money to everybody, it's easy to find someone who is easily compromised. This is why the Republican Party has not put anybody against him in like the last couple of years. It's always been people that have volunteered to do it. That's my theory anyway. I might be wrong, I might be right. But we're going to see how close I am to being right. Because back in April, the party, Democrat Party, actually challenged Sarah Scheidel to if she could even run for office. I won't bore you with the details.
Scheidel, cause 2024-08. Also, Eldridge versus Shidale, cause 2024-30.
So Mila Eldridge had put up a challenge for Sarah Scheidel, who was going to be running against Justin Moed, which was kind of wild because Sarah Scheidel is trans, and since Democrats, and if you even look on Justin Moed's his bio on Mirror Indy, which we'll show here in a second, he actually says about protecting LGBTQ rights. Kind of crazy, right? Well, it gets crazier.
In the matter of the challenge to Sarah Scheidale, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Now, who do you think that is right there, huh? Allie Bartlett. That's right, but it gets even more weird.
Candidate for the Democratic Party nomination for Indiana State Representative District 97. And also 2024-30 is the challenge to Sarah Scheidale, candidate for Democratic Party in District 70, is identical matter. Are the representatives of the both present?
Now, this was from the Political Spotlight. They were doing a live stream of challenges because obviously Trump was getting challenged. John Rust was trying to appeal his. Keith Graves, who is a city councilor, he was trying to get his daughter to run for office against Jean LeBrew or something. But that whole situation was really weird because Keith Graves' daughter, Chunia Graves, had lost, had was not able to participate in the primary, and then Jean ended up dying, and so then they filled her senatorship with Lakeisha Jackson, who was a city council woman. Very weird. So that really tells you that the party did not want Keith Graves' daughter in that position.
My name is Greg Hahn. I'm with Bose McKinney and Evans law firm here in Indianapolis.
Would you spell that for us?
Yeah, don't worry about the spelling. It doesn't matter. Here's the most important part. Gregory Hahn is part of Bose McKinney Evans, obviously, but he is also the appointed chair for Indigo. And if you have gone through the amount of campaign reports that I have, you will see he has given like hundreds of thousands of dollars only to Democrats, which tells me everything is so crazy because you have a Republican winning elections who is deciding who is going to be in a caucus or a chair position in the party, but working for a heavy Democrat law firm, but also that law firm gives a lot of money to Republicans. So obviously politics is a very, very dirty job, but it also tells me that the Democrat Party did not want Scheidel in the ticket. They brought out the big guns with Allie Bartlett and Gregory Hahn to try and get Scheidel off the primary. So if you're watching this Sarah Scheidel, you scared them. You should be proud of yourself because you scared them enough where Justin Moed had to go outdoor knocking, which I saw his group at the same time that I was outdoor knocking. But then you also had to get very powerful law firms, very powerful lobbyists to try and get you off the ticket. So, congratulations. You should be proud of that. You were over the target. That kind of stuff gives me a little bit of hope because it's easy. It's funny to see how easy they get scared. So, moving on. I want to make sure that everybody knows this is not trying to like hurt Allie Bartlett. I like Allie Bartlett. She's a very nice lady. She has been very upfront with me about everything. About what she's doing, why she's doing it, and I'm not going to speak for her. I'm just giving you my opinion on it. This is just how things work. We don't like it because we're normal people with a sense of morality. We would like to have a fair shake at getting elected. But when you have these $1 million, multi-million dollars, one could even say multi-billion dollar corporate law firms that are the machine, part of the deep state, it is so hard to win anything. And when party politics will be party politics, it's even harder. So, like I have said, if you're not part of it, you're not part of it. which goes into my campaign because this is how this whole thing started. For months, I have been trying to get a hold of HRCC. And you're probably wondering, well, who is HRCC? They are the House Republican Campaign Committee. Now, this is very important because this is who decides to give you money, who decides to give you help, and for some things, like even send you a survey, which I have found that they have not been sending me surveys that they have been giving to other candidates. Now, why is HRCC so important? Well, it is the House Republican Campaign Committee. For some of you that are watching this video, you already know who they are. But for those who don't know, they helped Julie McGuire and Craig Snow win their election against John Jacob and Kurt Knisley. Now, who are John Jacob and Kurt Knisley? They were basically they spearheaded the concealed carry and possibly the abortion thing. Don't quote me on that, but definitely the concealed carry thing. And a quick little story. You can fast forward this part if you want to. When Micah Beckwith was running for lieutenant governor against Julie McGuire. Yes, the same Julie McGuire. I had recruited some people down south in the Bloomington area to run as delegates because I knew in a higher blue area there were going to be more of a chance for Republicans to win because guess what? There's less Republicans. And they were really deciding. They went to the McGuire Braun meeting, and they're like, "Hey, I like this Braun guy, you know." And I was like, "Yeah, Braun's really good. I've talked to him personally a couple of times. Smart guy, very, very business minded too." And I said, "What? Who I don't really trust, even though Julie McGuire is nice, is her, because I don't know if she is just going to be the mouthpiece for everybody else. I want more of an independent mind where they are not playing party politics. They're actually there for the people." And I like Micah for even though there's so many people that are like he's a Christian nationalist and whatever. If you have ever talked to this guy personally, he does not. He never talks about that kind of stuff. And I really encourage people to just lay down the emotion for a second and look into what he's saying. Like, not just the clip stuff, but actually looking into what he's saying. So, with that being said, I had mentioned about Julie McGuire and Craig Snow getting a bunch of money, and here's a clear example of that. $735 she campaigned in, and guess who gave her $569,000? HRCC. And after I showed them that data, they ended up voting for Micah, which probably sent Micah over the edge on votes. You're welcome. You're not welcome. I don't care. And I'll talk about Micah here a little bit more in a second. But this was Julie McGuire, and this was Craig Snow. And recently, not long ago, Randy Head was speaking at a certain thing, and people were asking him about why. It's like, why does it feel like the party doesn't care about the grassroots? And he was there basically to be the olive branch for, hey, we can all work on this together. One of the main questions was about Julie McGuire and Craig Snow getting all that HRCC money. It seemed like they were deciding the winners and losers, which obviously they did because Knisley did not win and John Jacobs did not win. And he said, well, HRCC, that's its own thing. That actually doesn't have anything to do with the party. And at that moment, everything made sense. And here's why. I have been reaching out to HRCC for months, the House Republican Campaign Committee, for months, ever since I even signed the paperwork for me to run for state rep. Hey, I emailed, was like, I just want to come by, introduce myself. Hey, can you point me in the right direction for mailers, for maybe text messaging thing? I'm not asking for money, even though it'd be nice, but I just want to know who you guys are working with. So maybe I can get a deal. We can all work together to get a deal because postage is not cheap. The actual mailer portion is cheaper. But postage is 53 cents for a postcard. So if you're sending out 10,000 mailers, just one drop, you're spending over $5,000 just on postage. And if you work with HRCC, because they send it so much out and they have the permits to get a deal from the post office, you're maybe paying like 8 or 10 cents one. So yeah, it is a big deal. But as soon as Randy had said that they're their own thing, that's why they weren't helping me. That's why they're not helping other Republican candidates as well. They are deciding the winners and losers. And then I find out just the other day that it would cost someone $35,000 just for the party to start helping them. Yes, I have proof on that. No, I will not be showing it. I have never lied to you guys. You're going to have to trust me on this. So it's a lot to take in at all this point, and me deciding of how I'm going to do this video and how I want to explain it, it's a lot to cover because it just shows how dirty things are. And if you're not in it with them, you're out of it. And there's no point. You're basically wasting all your money on the whole thing, which goes into the next part that I've been trying to figure out. Why aren't any of these media institutions interviewing people? I mean, they are not interviewing anybody. If you go onto the IndianaCapitalChronicle.com onto their voter guide of 2024, there is really nothing going on here. And this is what they do. They should be interviewing state house candidates. And so when I called out Nikki Kelly, which you should call her out too, why aren't you interviewing these people? And they're like, well, we're just focusing on the ones that actually have a chance. Oh, so you're telling me that I actually don't have a chance, which is super funny because this is what I think they are afraid of. This is why I think most, if not all, the media are completely compromised and they're just getting the message of don't do any interviews at all. Let's look at, first off, Justin Moed. Let's look at the primary numbers. If the election was on the day of the primary, you would be looking at a brand new state rep for District 97. And new! And why are the primaries so important? Look at the spread, 1268 to 1320. Why is that so important? Look at the previous primaries. Look at when John ran, not even 800 to 1482, or the one before that, the election year, 1632 to 3156. And then you could even see that he ran unopposed from 2016 to 2020, and even before that. Well, I think he ran unopposed in 2014, and obviously he won in 2012. But look how many times he has ran unopposed. Very interesting, right? And the only reason why he didn't continue to run unopposed is because of people like me and John that wanted to get in there and win elections so we can do better for Indiana, to do better for Marion County, to do better for District 97 in general, to look out for the people. But the party looks like they didn't want to run anybody. And this is why I have that theory that the party might be in on it. But it's not just me, though. No. You look at someone like Renee Pack, who's running against John Couch. Look at these primary numbers. Absolutely slaughtered her in the primary. But you look at before, she slaughtered him. And not just that, though. Let's look at Mitch Gore, too. Look at these numbers. I mean, just a straight up ass whooping in these primary numbers. And if you look at the previous primary, she would have, but Michael Paul Hart barely lost, I think by what, less than 300 votes or something. And look at that. Look at the primary spread. The other theory to that is that a lot of people that normally run as Democrats moved over to the Republican side so they can make sure that Trump was not, he got kicked out of the primary, or Mike Braun did not win the primary, and so they could have someone more like Suzanne Crouch or Brad Chambers, because Marion County, I think Brad Chambers won Marion County. If he didn't, I think he lost by like maybe a dozen, but I'm pretty sure Brad Chambers had won. But it's not just Indiana Capital Chronicle. No, 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 no. It's also Mirror Indy. Now, one would think if you're saying that we are the local media for Indianapolis, you would be interviewing a lot more people, especially right now when it is early voting. Now, my whole take on early voting is, especially at the city county building, is that you are already knowing who you are voting for. Like, you're not going in there with the maybe. Like, you're going in there to cast your vote with intention, with veracity, and so far, they only have Mike Young, Jessica McCormick, and Katrina Owens and Freeman. And what I think, Enrique Saez or Suarez, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your last name, Enrique. He is the West Side reporter, and you would think that, and he has been doing a lot of reporting for the West Side. Why is Enrique not covering the candidates on the West Side? And here's my take on that. I think Peter Blankard or Bleachard, whatever, he is doing the candidate interviewing, and I think these two, why they were up first, is because Mayor Indy is obviously Democrat controlled, left controlled, and they are trying to highlight the maybe candidates or the maybe election so they can try and get more Democrats in the Senate with Katrina Owens and Jessica McCormick, who McCormick is the absolute worst. She never has any town forums. She never replies to emails. In fact, she has blocked me on Facebook. So rude. Mike Young, on the other hand, I have talked to him on the phone. One of the best guys ever. He saved Wayne Township Fire Department. One of the key members of saving Wayne Township Fire Department. Just remember that. But then if you look at my bio, because they're just doing like little mini bios, this is what cracks me up. Number one, prioritizing transparency of and eventually eliminating the IADC. Based? Oh, wait a minute. Base department? Yeah, let's go. Of course, it's not my number one priority. Let's look at my website. Look, it's the last thing. That is the last thing that I am worried about. I am worried about property taxes, road repair, and public safety. Those are the top three things that you're going to see from me. Property tax reform for the elderly and the vulnerable. But it's not on there, and I don't understand why they're not interviewing people. It just totally blows my mind. Same thing with Abdul with Indy politics. Where has he been? He interviewed Andrew Ireland back in the primary, but so far he hasn't voted anybody for, or he hasn't interviewed anybody for any candidates. What is going on? And I remember this got brought up. I was bringing it up a lot last year during the city council. Why is WIBC, who is owned by a Democrat, why are they not interviewing any of the candidates for city council, like Lisa Schmitz, who was running against jobless Jared Evans, the 40-year-old that lives with his parents, and basically the answer was from Jason Hammer, I believe it was Jason Hammer, was that it's not entertaining enough. Hey, these candidates are so boring. Listen, we want to talk about booze, we want to talk about boobies, and we want to talk about degenerate gambling. That is what we are talking about. We don't want to talk about the things that will affect your day-to-day life with taxes, with crap roads, with everything else going on, with people getting shot, and then Ryan Mears not doing his job. No, no, no. We want to talk about the bread and the circus, which I think is doing a huge disservice for the people of Indianapolis that do listen to WIBC. I thought for sure that they would actually be interviewing candidates, but so far, nothing. And some of you grassroots people are probably going to ask, especially about HRCC, is why didn't you message Micah? Because you've talked to him, and spoiler alert, I have messaged Micah, and I have not heard anything back from him, which apparently is very normal for him, which is kind of funny. Listen, I still like Micah and everything, but maybe it's just me that if I'm going to give my phone number to somebody and they message me, they are expecting a phone call or a message back. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe I'm just old school. I don't know. Who could say? Not taking it personally because I've messaged so many people and have never heard anything back. But just to put a bow on this whole thing, this is the biggest picture. The world is run by psychopaths. And if this is a message too for other people that might want to run for office, whatever that might be in the future, unless you are valuable to the party, whichever party you are, except for libertarians, they'll take anybody. You're not going to be getting very far unless it's on some local level, small time local level thing. I think even as a surveyor, you're going to run into political problems, um, which we saw that in 2022. And the question also is the party sabotaging my campaign? And the answer is, I don't know. No idea. All I know is I'm really fed up with not getting answers and having to spend $2,000 on stamps and then having a bunch of mailers returned back to me and I can't get an answer why. And that's really going to be up to you. All the people out there watching this video is that we know that Justin Moed is part of the machine. He's part of the Uniparty. He's part of the deep state. He's compromised. And all of you out there have to ask yourselves, no matter which side you're on, is that the person you want representing you? That's literally it. Because I am a very honest person. I put out videos. I talk crap about both sides and what they should and shouldn't be doing. And it really comes down to it is transparency. And for me, that's what you're getting. You're getting transparency. And if you've been watching my YouTube for long enough, you understand how transparent I am. But that's all I got, really. I've given you a lot of data, probably given you a lot to think about. If you want candidates to get interviewed, please reach out. Go harass the people on social media. Get Rob Kendall, get Casey Daniels, Hammer and Nigel, whoever on WIBC, Tony Katz, all of them. And, message Mirror Indy, message Indiana Capital Chronicle or State Affairs, message Man Abdul, message all of them and just ask them, when are you going to be interviewing candidates? That's it. Hey, why aren't you interviewing candidates? We're less than a month away. We're like 3 weeks away from 4 weeks away from the election right now, and I don't know anything about this person, even though people should be doing research on their own. I always encourage that. But that's all I got. If you have any questions, if you have any problems, give me a call, give me a text, give me an email, all the above. If you want to interview me, hey, you know how to get a hold of me. All my information is out there. So, until next time.